Welcome back to Walk with TFB. Tim Bryson here, and as y'all know, I'm a Black millennial. I was eager to have a filtered conversation with authentic people centered on education, international education, global sport, and Black culture. Today we have a guest. I didn't put this guest on our top 10 of who we want on the podcast because this guest came to mind and really came into my view as soon as we dropped that video on IG and TikTok. But this guest is someone who, similar to last week with NCAA, epitomizes both international education, global sport, and definitely Black culture. Currently a college athlete at the University of Cincinnati. They are primed to have a good year, a fire year, especially in the Big 12. But I'll be sure that we talk more about this transition to the Big 12 in this podcast episode as well. But y'all see the name, y'all see the picture. So without further ado, y'all help me welcome Aïcha Dia to the podcast. What's poppin', Dia?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, anybody call you AD?
Yes, they do. They literally, that's my nickname now.
Yeah, AD tough.
Ever since I've been in Cincy, it's like AD.
Yeah, AD is tough. How you feeling though? Happy Friday. I'm glad we got this podcast episode in, man. How you feeling? You good?
Man, I'm good. I'm really excited. I know I've been looking at what you've been doing, listening to some podcasts. So I'm excited to be here myself. It's kind of an honor.
I appreciate it. Like I told you, this is I think the first current international athlete that we have on this podcast. And so everyone that we know that knows me and knows this podcast knows this is why I do what I do. But this episode, these next 30 or so minutes is all about you. So segment one is all about storytelling, right? And I think I'm definitely curious. I know the world is definitely curious as well. But what's your story, yo? Like, who are you? Talk to us.
So I'm Aïcha Dia, that's how you pronounce it, first of all. So both of my parents were born in Senegal. I was born in Canada, so I have two older sisters. And we've been to Senegal a few times, so obviously I'm intact with like the Senegalese culture. Love that. I was just there last summer. I don't speak Wolof, unfortunately, but I do speak French. And yeah, so it's just been me, my two sisters, and my parents. Lived up in Canada. We actually lived in China for 4 years. From 8 to 12 years old. I was 8 to 12, so I think that was 2011 to 2015. And yeah, we lived there, and then we came back to Canada. And then that's when I actually started playing basketball at 14 years old. And then, yeah, that's it. Then I got to college and did all that.
You're not about to skate through this introduction, yo, because the first question I got, right? Why basketball? Like, what introduced you to basketball? Who introduced you to basketball? How'd you pick it? When did you pick it? Talk more about that.
That's actually so funny because I started off with soccer. And I think like a lot of Africans started off with soccer. So I started off with soccer, and then we went to live in China. And my sister and my dad, they always played basketball. So I would go watch them and stuff. And I'm a really like visual learner. So anyways, we come back from China, and my dad's like, yeah, you're gonna have to switch sports, so play something else. And he suggested basketball, and I'm like tall and lengthy, so he's like, all right. And so I played, and then you know how it goes from there. Just the
So
grind, gotta go.
But the first time you picked up a basketball, you were 15 years old.
You said what?
I was 14. You're 14. And so that's wild. So you couldn't dribble nothing like that.
Yeah.
You couldn't dribble?
I couldn't. Horrible. I couldn't dribble. I couldn't shoot. I was in the gym every day trying to man, I got my first pair of LeBrons. I felt so nice. I'm going to remember this like it was yesterday for real. Because It really does. Yesterday.
Wow, no, legit. And so as you're thinking about, so you started playing at 14, really interested in the sport at 14. Within the next 4 to 5 years, you somehow came to the U.S. to play college basketball. But you mentioned like being in the gym every day. Just talk more about that process of one, getting better over the course of those 3 or 4 years, during leading up to the recruitment process. But then two, who are some of the people that help, coach, train you along the way?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I started from nowhere, so it was a really like good school academically, but not athletically. So I met my coach, Coach Dean. I met Coach Trevor at Dawson. I met NT, my trainer, and obviously my sister and my dad. Like these are the people that were always on my side, always pushing me, and they really just taught me like the definition of hard work. And I knew that I had to catch up to these other girls because I was already late because some of these girls started when they was like 3 years old. So I had to catch up, and I'm a person, I hate losing. I just love the competition. I love to get better. I love to learn. And honestly, that's all you really need when you want to get to the next level. You need to love to learn. You need to be like a sponge and soak in information and just be coachable for real. I couldn't dribble, but I was really coachable and I had good energy on the court, so they recruited me. So
Yeah, they said
right.
you love playing defense.
I love playing defense.
Yeah, you love playing. So, what point did you know you were good enough to, or did college think you were good enough to play college basketball? Like, when did the offers start coming in?
That's so funny because I really didn't think so. I was in CJEP. I don't know if you know how CJEP works a little bit.
Mm-mm,
No, okay.
mm-mm.
Well, basically, I'm not gonna explain too much, but it's basically like high school for Canada.
Okay.
So I was there in my second year, so that would be like junior. Um, it was just it was just bad. My coaches, like, it was just all over the place. So I didn't have any offers, and I waited, and then I got offers my last year. Just because I went to a lot of AAU, I sacrificed a lot. I didn't go to like no graduation. I didn't go to prom. I just went AAU. I just hooped and got some offers, and then I was able to pick. But I never thought I would make it up until that point. Honestly, I just
Was
kept
pl-
surprising. To be honest.
was playing in the U.S. like was playing college basketball like a goal of yours when you first started getting better in basketball?
No, not at all. I didn't even know nothing about it. I didn't know nothing about it up until like 2 years prior of me coming here. So, or even a year, yeah. So I wasn't really like informed. And I started watching
Wow.
games, like, ooh, this is nice. And then I started just asking questions around, and then yeah,
Wow. 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 That's
like it
dope.
was really step by step. I promise you, it feels like yesterday that I started basketball. Sometimes I'd be doubting my abilities too. I'd be like, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so last question before getting to segment two, right? Because I think we saw was that May when the W came to Toronto and we saw that they showed out. But what's girls basketball, women's basketball in Canada like? What is the culture like as it relates to talking about women and girls playing basketball in Canada?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of talent in Canada, a lot that people are not noticing, they don't see. It's kind of like y'all. So we have our provinces, you guys have states.
Hmm.
Some provinces are more popular. So I'd say Ontario is a big province for basketball. Quebec is on the rise. That's where I'm from. Um, British Columbia, a lot of other provinces, but basically those are like the top ones. And I don't know, you get a lot of good players, a lot of talent, but recruiting is hard. That's why as Canadians, sometimes we have to come down here
Mm.
to like AAU and show out in front of US coaches.
Oh, that's super tough. Segment two, talking more about your experience now that you're here, right? And so, as you mentioned, you didn't even think or even know that college basketball or being a college athlete was a thing, let alone a thing for you, right? Up until 2 years before you came to the United States. But what has been the ongoing transition? And I use ongoing transition on purpose because it's not just a one-time like shock, right? I'm sure there are different moments along every month, every week, every year. It's like, damn, I'm in the U.S. or damn, I'm in college in the U.S. It's like, what's that transition been like for you as an international student here in the U.S.?
Um, well, I'd like to say I'm good at adapting and I like change and I love challenges. So it hasn't been too hard. Obviously, you said ongoing. So when I was at Penn State, it was a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I came here, and obviously, like being around a better environment and my teammates and my coaches, it just makes everything way better. So I think that just being surrounded with these people just makes the transition so much easier. Obviously, in terms of basketball, your body always gonna hurt at some point. So I'm good
Mm-hmm.
with it. But yeah.
And so as you were going through the recruitment process both times, like what were some of the questions that you made sure to ask, but then questions that you made sure you I guess going through recruitment the second time that you were definitely, keen on asking?
hmm Um, so you're talking about the first time and the second time, or you just talking about at Cincinnati? Are you talking about?
Yeah. Whatever questions you
Um,
think were important for you to ask during the recruitment process, given that it was new.
hmm well, at first, I was kind of like every other kid. I wanted to know about the gear and the locker room and how I'm doing, and let me see where I'm gonna live. That was at Penn State, and I mean, obviously, I had my dad there on my visit, so he
Mhm.
kept it like, "What's the campus like?" and all the serious questions.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really what I was focused on, unfortunately. Um, That's a rookie mistake. I think a lot of girls are going to make that mistake, and that's why I think a lot of girls are transfer portal, even on the men's side as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so in Cincinnati here, I think I was more focused on what I wanted personally. For example, I know I wanted to be surrounded by people who like academically push each other, and they were talking about the GPA and they brought out numbers and like things like that. I set goals for myself before even putting my name in the transfer portal, just to make sure that like, wherever I end up, I know it's the right place. And for me, like what's important is academics, obviously like family vibes, like teammates, my teammates, like they're my family now. Coaching staff and style of play, but that's that on the court. So.
Super dope. So you mentioned academics a number of times now, and of course, obviously a lot of critique in the college sports system in the U.S. right now, but y'all still are students. For better and for worse, y'all still students and make y'all a college athlete. What are you studying?
Yeah.
What are you studying currently? What's your major right now?
I'm majoring in psychology and minor in African studies.
Tell us more. Why?
You said?
Why? Why psych and African studies?
Well, psychology, because I was actually bored one day and I was like, Mom, I don't know what I should do. And she's like, well, one thing about you like to help people a lot. And I was like, okay. And then I looked into psychology. She bought me a bunch of books and I really got interested. So that's for psychology and African studies. Well, I'm always willing to learn more about Africa and African studies. So, and it's really interesting. So that's just personal interest.
This is good. This is really good because you mentioned obviously growing up in Canada. You mentioned your Senegalese background as well, heritage as well, and you represented both Senegal and Canada in different competitions over the last several years. And so one thing I've always been loud about is like international athletes in the U.S. Like they're not just good, like they're elite both here and in their respective country. Like y'all playing in global competitions and they'll come back and then play in the Big 12. It's like our Big 10, like what? Like what? It's not normal. Like the regular American, we don't do that. And so, what has your experience been like playing globally, both representing Canada and Senegal in their respective competition?
Well, I find that so funny because like some of these girls, like I look up to all of the girls that I play internationally. They're amazing, and I think one thing you probably heard, the level internationally is way different. These girls play harder, and they play so much harder. So you kind of have to keep up with both, with like power and IQ. So that's really cool. It's actually really cool. Like I said, I like to learn. When I played for Team Canada, I was 17 on the U19 team. I had a fair amount of minutes, but the competition was like, it was like what I'm playing in college today, basically. That's what I was experiencing. And as for Global Jam, that was really fun. And these girls that was a U23 team, and I'm 20 years old. I just turned 20. So that was different type of strength, different type of strength. But it was a great experience as well. So
what stood out? You mentioned power and IQ. What stood out about like I guess the preparation, professionalism, the operation? Like what stood out when you're playing those tournaments?
Yeah, I'm actually happy you asked me that because I have a lot of professional players on my team when I was at Global Jam, and I would just watch them. And it's in the routine. They would always like stretch right before they would have this certain routine, eat this, eat that. And it's like, wow, these professionals, it's like on and off the court. And obviously on the court, like just decision making in terms of IQ, and moving without the ball. I know it's getting a bit technical, but these two things, and in terms of power, I mean, just strength. I mean, these are grown women. So.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And so obviously you competed in Global Gym this past summer. You come back to the States, obviously now at UC. Where do you find support in the college space, right? Is it primarily coaches and teammates? Are there other people or personnel on campus that have helped you along the way? But where do you find support on these campuses?
I mean, that's actually one of the questions that I asked on my visit. I asked about all the resources we have, the school offers. So obviously in terms of like school resources, we have a lot of those. I also try to connect outside, like you said, I'm Senegalese, I'm Canadian, so I'm like trying to see who's in the city, who's Senegalese. I've tried the Senegalese spot. I love African food. Love African food. So
Where's
like,
it at? Where's it at?
huh?
What is Senegalese spot in Cincy?
Yeah, it's called Lamphal. It's so good.
That's down in my Clifton?
Oh, see, I don't know. I don't know my geography.
Oh, never mind. You're right. You're right. You're right.
It's not here. But definitely tried that spot. Y'all should definitely try it out. And then I don't know. I just try to reach out, and also another thing I do is reach out to other what do you call it? Like teams, for example, track and field. We're friends with them. The men's basketball team, football team, lacrosse. Like you try to be friends with everybody. So that's kind of how I like support myself because my family ain't here. A little bit far.
It's a little bit far. Do you have connections with other Canadians or Senegalese athletes across the country?
Across the country, yeah, that's because I have a lot of friends across the country, and we all like support each other. Because like, if you're Senegalese, you're gonna support Senegal. So, but here I met a lot as well. There's a big Senegalese community. Actually, I'm surprised in Cincinnati. So that's cool.
Wow, super dope. So going back to basketball, I think one of the important things you mentioned, right, is about the routine. I think it's super important. I think honestly a transferable practice or law, if you will. But thinking about sport in general, and so we saw a few days ago, Nebraska women's volleyball playing in front of 90,000 or 92,000, which was amazing. But I know particularly before obviously the trip got canceled in Senegal, girls basketball in Senegal is on the rise in regards to investment, support, resources. And so, I'd love for you to just talk more about like what excitement, what interests you. You know, what are you curious about as we see basketball grow, not just globally, but particularly within the sport. I mean, excuse me, within the continent of Africa.
hmm well, it was really interesting because when I was representing the BAL, our head coach, Coach Liz, she made history in Africa in terms of the BAL and being the first woman head coach to win over there. And she gave us a lot of like inspiration, and she told us a lot about the BAL. So that was interesting because I'm like, oh, I might want to work there or have a BAL for the women as well. So that's definitely growing. And in terms of like the women over there, they're so good. And I look up to all of them. One day I hope I can be on that Senegalese national team. Like these girls are great. Yassine Diop, Sarah Williams, like they're all really good. So I think it's on the rise. You know, Senegal, you know how we do in Africa. Nigeria, crazy teams. Ivory Coast, Uganda, like it's just on the rise everywhere. So
Wow, I love that.
everybody from everywhere.
I'm
Don't matter.
excited, Joe. I'm excited. I think again we're seeing, especially like on at least on the men's side, and what they call men's NBA. Like a lot of athletes, like the best athletes, they're not U.S. athletes. And I
Nah,
don't
they're
think
tough. The VL is tough. They can definitely compete for sure.
that's what I'm saying, yo. But as you're thinking about this upcoming season, right? So you played in the Big Ten last year, come to Cincy's first year in the Big 12. What are you looking forward to? I'm not asking you to throw out any goals or accolades or anything like that, but what are you looking forward to? Like, what's on your mind right now going into this preseason and training process?
Man, when they recruited me, they told me we coming here. This program, my head coach is an alumni, so it's really like we trying to win. That's what we want to do. I came here. I'm the type of player I will be anything I need my team to be. I'm stepping into any leadership role that I need to, or any role player role that I need to. I'm just trying to get on the court and get buckets and win. So that's our goal. That's going to be my goal as well, my personal goal, my number one, just win. Obviously, like step by step, we're still coming into the Big 12, but that's always a goal. We athletes.
So what's been the excitement on campus? I mean, again, working there as a professor, I'm like, if I see this Big 12 logo one more time, I might turn into the Big 12, bro. So like, like what's it been like? Again, it's a lot of excitement, like both in all sports, football, women's soccer, volleyball. Like, what's the excitement around it? Like, what have you felt, especially coming from Penn State, which was like Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten, like which everyone knows.
Man, I mean, in terms of gear, you know that's exciting.
Yo,
Now I'm playing.
that gear is nice.
Definitely, like the girls are excited. We're looking at the teams we could play, the potential schedule. Like everything is just looking promising. And even the other teams, I think football playing tomorrow. So I mean, it feels like a fresh start on campus. It feels like we're a school walking into like we're underdogs, and we love it. We love being underdogs. So that's what we don't mind being the underdogs.
That's real. That's super real. Before we move to segment 3, talking about support, what are some things that people may not know about the international college athlete experience, right? Or things you want more people to know about, just given your unique journey to the U.S. But also unique journey out of U.S. higher education. Should you decide to stay in the U.S. or return to Canada or Senegal in this case?
What would people know about?
Or what don't people know? Or what do you want people just to know more about the international college athlete experience?
Um, hmm. I mean, personally, I'm gonna go back to the first one because I gotta answer that one. I would just say you really have to be open to new experiences. I think I don't want to say it, but y'all Americans sometimes, y'all don't think we speak like English or something, and it's like it's easy to get frustrated, or they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" or something like that, and it's little comments. So I'm just saying, like, you really have to be open-minded. Not everybody has been out of the country, so not everybody knows about your culture, how you do things, your language. So I guess that, and like go out and make friends, because otherwise you'll stay alone.
What did anything shock you coming to the U.S.? I know you play AAU, so I'm sure you're over here a few times.
Honestly,
So.
I have family down in New Jersey, so I've been to the US often. Nothing really shocked me. Um, Nothing really shocked me. I ain't got nothing bad to say about y'all.
Oh, I mean, if you did, please do. We not the best. Like what Noah Lyles said, they ain't world champions.
Man,
You know.
man.
Segment 3, yo, talking about support, right? How can I best support you? How can our podcast community best support you? Again, you mentioned your international athlete experience, both here in the NCAA model as well as internationally as well. But also, again, you're a student, right? You're a student in U.S. higher education who has dreams, goals, aspirations to be whatever and whoever you want to be. So how can I best support you? How can our listeners best support you as well?
Mhm. Well, I think like 2, 3 things are really important, especially for us internationals. One thing is just connecting with each other. I think that's so important. And what you're doing is important as well because other people can see and be like, oh, I relate to that or something like that. And then like we can talk to each other and then build some bonds. I think that's really important. A lot of international students tend to like stay in the corner and be like, this is not my country. I'm just going to come here and study and then leave. But it doesn't have to be like that. The second thing, I would say I'm gonna go to the NILs. I don't want to be that girl, but I have to. I have to go to the NILs and exposure and just using social media to our best, like because you already know internationals. We don't even have NILs too much. I don't want to go into details into it, but it's very difficult for us to get NIL deals, not as easy as Americans on US soil. So luckily for me, I'm from Canada. So for example, if I were to get like Nike, I could just get Nike Canada. But other like Uganda don't have that, for example. I know one of my friends, she doesn't have that. She doesn't have that opportunity. There's also the international tax that international students do get a little bit less than any U.S. Student or anybody that like U.S. citizenship. So I feel like that's important. There are a lot of disadvantages, and obviously, like coming to the U.S., getting this free scholarship, like this free education and everything, there are advantages. But I think just using like social media and exposure and NIL deals to help like international students with little things, I think that would be really helpful. And little things I'm talking about just financial aid or like money, little things that make your week better because I know how it is.
This is good. I'm gonna connect you to one of my former students. Her name is Ashley. She ran track at Maryland. She's from Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all can speak French. She's teaching me French. But I want to learn. I know.
What I mean by connecting, like I want to meet these new people. I want to speak French. I want to go eat African food.
I'm gonna connect you to Ashley because she speaks French and she's trying to get me to speak more French. But y'all have a lot to talk about.
That's okay.
A lot to talk about. Before we bounce, a couple of questions, yo. Who's your favorite basketball player?
Paul George, and in the girls, Kalia Copper / Marine Johannes.
Okay, let me ask you. You on TikTok?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so what is it with like Gen Z and Paul George? Like, why I'm dead? Like, what?
Wait, who?
Like y'all generation, like 18 and 24, y'all love Paul George.
Who? I've never met someone that loves Paul George. Like,
Oh, I'm gonna send you the clip. It was
I love Paul George.
oh
Because
my
he's
gosh,
just smooth. He's just smooth. And I actually started watching, like, I know a lot of people didn't watch it, but I started watching, like, the Pacers and stuff, like,
Pacers,
you know.
yeah.
And obviously, I like Cam Miller. Like, it's just how smooth they are with their height. KD, like, is them type players. And Paul George is a two-way, so that's how I roll.
Who would you compare your game to in the league? Either WNBA or men's basketball, MNBA?
I mean, WNBA, I would say Kalia Copper. That's my favorite player as well, but definitely her. She can do everything. She's a
Yeah.
2, 3. She can play the 4. She's athletic as she's real athletic.
Yeah.
She can score any way. She can her pull up jumper. And we know the mid range is really rare these days. So she got
Mm-hmm.
that. Her 3 and her defense, her energy. Like she's just a leader. I just love everything about her. So
You been to any games here in the US?
I have been to one game. I think it was Chicago Sky too. She's on that team with Candace Parker. It was that team. But yeah, that was a while ago. That was
We got,
AU. That
we
was
gotta get
like,
you we gotta get you to Indianapolis, bro. At least that's right.
please,
That's an hour and a half.
please, the fever. I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah. What's your favorite food?
Um, I take steak, but if we're going to the African side, some people gonna be mad, but I like fufu so much. And I know in Senegal we don't eat that much fufu because we eat a lot of rice and fish. But fufu's so good. That's more known for like with like Nigeria and stuff.
Okay. You about to go out and play. You got 4 minutes to play one song. What song you playing before you go on the court?
4 minutes play one song.
Yep. Or 5 minutes. You got one song. You can play one song before you step onto the court to go play. What song you putting on?
Okay, I'm gonna put my song of the moment, like right now. I gotta put some Burna Boy. I don't know what it is, but it gotta be some Burna Boy. Whatever it is.
I haven't heard the new album. You heard the new album yet?
The new one, I listened to
Yeah.
one.
I need to play that,
It's
yo. I haven't heard it yet.
I'm going song by song. I think it's on form.
Yeah, okay. Spotify, Apple Podcast.
Mm-hmm. You said it.
Spotify or Spotify or Apple Music. My bad.
Apple.
It's the wrong answer, yo. You like, I don't understand. Like,
Discounts for students. Like, this is what I'm talking about.
Spotify, $5.
Nope, I didn't see no discount on Spotify.
I'll send you that too when I send you this Paul George clip. What you watch on Netflix right now or Apple TV, Hulu? What you
Swap.
watching? Ooh,
Swap. It's so fun. I don't know why. I just be interested in that crime stuff.
very interesting. You have a favorite? Not even a favorite. I was gonna say favorite weird U.S. holiday or U.S. moment. Something that just like, why are we doing this here? I'll go first. Labor Day. What is Labor Day?
Bruh, I have one. Because it's like they be playing this game and they got this thing and they just slap it and then the other person over there. What is
Yeah.
that? What are we doing?
Spike ball.
No, they try to do that. I didn't work. I'm like, y'all got it. I don't know. I still don't know the name of that thing.
Spike ball.
Spike ball.
Yeah.
Nope. Y'all got that.
Have you played what's the thing? Cornhole?
See, that's the US moment, the weird US moment is all these games I don't know. People are like, you don't know this game. I'm like,
this is giving me a lot of ideas. No, that's all good. Last question for you. Who do you want to see on this podcast, yo? Like I said, this podcast focused on international ed, global sport, Black culture. People from all around the world will be joining this podcast. Who do we need to talk to?
you know what? There's a lot of people you need to talk to. I ain't gonna lie. But if you gotta talk to somebody, it might be Sorel at Hofstra. She's from Burundi and she actually played at Dawson. So I was like a rookie when she was a third year or something. And I looked up there, she's a point guard and she's been in the state. This is her last year. and she's the point guard for Hofstra, and she's amazing. Honestly, I think she already got like an internship with the NBA, whatever team, the New York Knicks. So I don't know. I definitely look up to her and still call her for advice about school and everything. So
let's see. So you got a number then.
yeah.
Go ahead and give her a call to this podcast over and be like, yo, I talked to this dude, Tim. You got to jump on his podcast because we'll get her on the show for real.
I got you.
Aïcha, yo, it's been a pleasure. I'll be around campus. Hopefully, too many people. Well, I want everybody to come see our games, but hopefully, y'all save me a courtside seat. I just need you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, pull up your elbows.
I'll try a little something with my coaches.
What's up? Saying, look, I'll be on the court.
If you get another international on the podcast, because we have like a GM. She played last year. I don't know.
Let me know. I'm on campus.
I know you know Sophia. You don't know Sophia?
Put me on, yo.
Like I got you.
I know it's a busy weekend for you, but I do want to say thank you for real for being on this podcast episode. Again, I think the people that listen to this episode will just, one, learn more about generally the international athlete experience, but then two, become very aware with who you are and pay close attention to what you're going to make happen. I'm in the Big 12, maybe Big 12 Newcomer of the Year. Coming? I think so. I see it, but I'll be at the games. Look forward to seeing you on campus. But again, thank you for your time today.
Appreciate it.
For everyone else, man, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Walk with TLB. We are moving right along. We got a lot of dope shit planned for y'all this season, yo. So if you just tuning in your first episode, go back to the last 3 and check in. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter as well as we continue to unravel nuanced conversation about global sport, international education, and Black culture. But as always, until then, welcome.